Every day for the last 6 years, I have been working on a series of books about cardinal virtues: courage, discipline, justice, wisdom. I'm Rihanna Ladady, best-selling author of The Obstacle's the Way, The Daily Stoic. And know this Stoic Virtue series, courage ice sculling, discipline is destiny, right thing right now. Finally, wisdom takes work. Writing a book is not something that happens overnight. It's not something you do in one pass. Doing a book takes work. It takes consistency. It takes discipline. In this video, you'll see everything that went into writing my last book. Wisdom takes work. Let's dive in. Music applause. I guess in the old days they would call this a sanitarium or rest cure. But I'm working on some underscore on myself in Arizona, and I had a little time. And so I'm going over the first batch of note cards. I've been accumulating the note cards from the Wisdom book since 2019. Some of them are just plain. Some of them are on the note cards I printed up later. I'm just going through them and marking vaguely where they'll go in the book. Normally, this is a process I start in the office on the big table in me office. But I'm going to do it nowhere. I just thought I had a little dead time. Lifetime dead bedtime. I'm in a good headspace. I wanted to make what progress I could. So, like these two cards will go in the intro. I think this is another intro card. Part. So I'm just writing intro at the top. So it's the metamism writing 3 for part 3, sometimes 2 or 3. These will go into piles and in the different segments later on. Stack of note cards. This is week 2 of laying the book out. I am already running out of space from the table. But hopefully these will start to commit each other a little bit more. Maybe I have to start using other services. Great. So, basically what I have here are all the uncategories to that I think pertain to part 2. So, basically this is a think about this in 3 months bio. This is the intro. So, this is very relevant. That's looming. These are all categorized stuff. So, I didn't know where it's going to go in the book. But a theme is emerging. And then this is part 3. So, God knows when I'll think about this. But I'm going to put these away because I'm already running out of space on the table. So, I was down here in Florida in August of 22 working on part 1. The early stages, part 1 of the Justice book. Which I wasn't sure if it was going to come together or not. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. The book was still, in pieces. The instruction manual not clear. I wasn't sure how the book was going to work. So here I am now in March of 24, and I'm in the exact same spot on the Wisdom book. I was here for a week. I wrote maybe 2.5 chapters, or I got the starts of 2.5 solid chapters. And so I'm just trying to remind myself like it'll come together because the funny thing easy was also, even though it was spring break for my kids, I also had to sign 2,000 of the 15,000 type-ins that I'm doing for the Justice book. And so the idea is I've got the final bit of the Justice book in my hands as I am in the same place literally and figuratively Aussie was on the last book. And that's sort of the process that you remind yourself. You remind yourself it's a process. It comes together. You do the work. You don't think about the outcomes. You just keep your head down. You keep chipping away at it and it starts to come together. I'm working on the book and this crazy thing happened yesterday. Like the first you think I'm on chapter 4, chapter 5. They're all male examples. Like just a smidge many male examples. And I thought it'd be awesome if the next chapter thought he wrote was built around a female example. That's just vaguely what I was thinking. And so I decided to work on commonplace book chapter. I've showed you like how all my books are from note cards, right? And so I pull out this note card and it says Joan Dion did note cards. There's a mention of it in this book. I pull it up. Sends me down a rabbit hole. I had totally forgotten that in slouching towards Bethlehem, Joan Didion writes an essay called On Keeping a Notebook. Basically everything that I want to build the chapter around is in this really awesome essay, which she wrote in the 60s. That's what I was working on yesterday. That's what I'm working on today. But the irony that the part that made it just feel so magical and cool is I don't know. If you can hear this squeaking German, this is Joan Dion's chair. And I never met Joan Didion. I came to her writing a little bit late. Maybe she would hate what I do. But I think it's pretty __ cool that I am sitting in the chair of one of the greatest writers of all time and writing about her in any of my books. So anyway, there's that. What changes when you hit #1 on New York Times bestseller list? Literally nothing. Back to work this morning. I am going through John Stuart Mill's autobiography, which according to this note, I first read in November of 2010. That's pretty cool. I'm doing a chapter on John Stuart Mill's nervous breakdown brought on by studying and thinking too much and presenting it as kind of a cautionary tale. So that's the project. Now it is Thursday, June 20th. I still had to drive my kids to school. Still had to feed the animals last night. Still regular __ person. Nothing changes. You just do what you got to do. You get back at it. Usually, as a writer, I'm not a big believer on changing locations. I think you should be able to do your work where you are. And the idea of traveling, going somewhere else, and finding a good spot to write doesn't tend to work out. But last summer, I did a chunk on the Justice book in LA. This summer, I did a chunk on the Lincoln chapter here in Australia. And it's worked out okay. Not as well as I wanted, but I got some stuff done. Music. It is 7:00 p.m. on August 6th. I guess, in Australia, I am going home tomorrow early in the morning. This is the second place we stayed. This is in Bondi. I got a decent amount done on the Lincoln chapter. Not as much as I wanted. I had this fantasy that I would come back with like the whole chapter done. And it doesn't always go that way. I made some progress on some other stuff. And I have an idea. But I forgot my journals. So I was using this little kid's notebook I got in a museum. I think what I'm going to have to do when I get back. I bought 2 extra books about Lincoln and I'm just going to have to do more reading. I need more material. And then what I'm going to do. And I did the same thing on the Justice book and on the Discipline book. Sometimes you stop making forward momentum. And my advice when you stop making forward momentum on a project is to go where you will have forward momentum. Go towards something that you have wrapped your head around. So, actually, I had some ideas for the next chapters I'm going to do in that book. So, I'm going to put this Lincoln thing on pause while I do some more reading and just go back and focus on that and see if I can't get a better sense of what I need that chapter to don't. Then come back and backfill it. Just what I've written and the material I put down alone is 7,500 words. So almost certainly everything I need is there. It's just how to connect it all together and the point I want to make isn't there. All in all, the very successful trip. It's funny as I was doing it on stage. I tell in the talks that I did at Sydney Town Hall and Melbourne Town Hall. I sort of did a tour of all the books and I talked about 4th book and I said, wish I could give you a good definition of the 4th virtue, the virtue of wisdom. But I can't cause I'm currently writing about it. Now. I'm by that I mean I'm still figuring it out. And then I said, but maybe that's the point. You're supposed to be working on it. You're never supposed to actually live. As it happened, like literally live on stage. I flipped open meditations and I started to read some things that Mark really said he learned from Antoninus, and it gave me a sense of what I want to say in the chapter. So, who knows? We'll see. I've got this manuscript to read on the plane at finish. I did about half of it on the way here, and it will go from there. Look, being a student isn't this thing that you do when you're young. It's something you should be doing all your life, right? We're not learning for extra credit. It's an edge. That's where Masterclass, today's sponsor, comes in. If you want to learn straight from the letters shaping your industry and the world, you got to check out Masterclass. We actually made a masterclass for Daily Stoic all about ancient philosophy and how to apply it to modern life. And actually, a bunch of people been on the Daily Stoic podcast also done masterclasses, including one of my favorite writers of all time, Doris Carnes-Goodwin. With Masterclass, you can learn from the best to become the best. And they have plans starting at just $10 a month billed annually where you get unlimited access to over 200 plus classes taught by the world's best business leaders, writers, chefs, producers, entrepreneurs, and much more. And with Masterclass, you get thousands of bites-sized lessons across 13 categories that can fit into even the busiest of schedules. Right now, our listeners get an additional 15% off any annual membership at Masterclass. Come Ryan Holiday. That's 15% off at masterclass.com/ryanholiday.masterclass.com/ryanholiday. It is 5 a.m. on August 8th. Again, the day coming back. None of us slept. The kids woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I am back in the office, and I am going to work on first chapter part 3, music. It is Christmas Eve. I spent the morning with the family, and now I am doing a little bit of editing. When I turned this in at the beginning of November, it was 99,000 words. I just got edits back from Julia, who did a nice pass on it, and I'm down to 81,225. I think I can get another 2,000 words out, and then I may call it. I don't know. Listening to the gang of youths. It's a good day. This is my Christmas present to myself. I just _ love doing this. Music I did about an hour on the manuscript today. Maybe a little more. I might come back to it later. But I'm now at 80,715 words. So, I'm chipping away at it. This is the work. I spent about a month doing this in LA in July of 23, and I took the Justice book down about 10,000 words, and I think it was better for it. That's what you have to tell yourself. It's painful, but ultimately you're better for it. Music, it's a Saturday morning. I'm down here in Florida. It's raining, so we didn't get to do our normal walk this morning. But I sat down to work on the manuscript. My wife went out with the kids for coffee, and this is going to be a big moment. So, the book is currently 80,479 words. I took a while. I knew for a while I was going to have to cut this, but now I am going to cut it. And I'm going to cut this chapter in part 3 that here. This is what the editor said. This chapter is pretty much just summarizing what the book is about. And so to keep it doesn't really make sense. It's not adding anything new there. There's a little piece I'm going to move probably to the afterword, but anyways. Alright, let's do it. So 80,479 words. Let's hit delete here. 79,68 for words. We did it. There's probably a little bit more, but we are now officially under where we want to be. Music, all right. It is 3:12 p.m. on the 3-1 stand. The manuscript is going in. It is now February 17th, and I got an email which I was both looking forward to and dreading this weekend, which is from my publisher. The copy edits back in the wisdom book, which I now have to go back through and do not just those edits. But I have this many note cards that I have to add into the book, which is going to require some cutting to make room for. So, I have a bunch of work toto before this thing goes back. The publisher took 6 weeks to do the copy edits, and then I have like 3 weeks to get them back. So, I may have to ask for more time, but that is the next step in the process. One of the more excruciating ones. So it's just go and tobe notes on notes. See, all these notes dot so already a dispute with the copywriter. I have this quote of all ever choose wisdom. Is the most elusive beauty something to which you aspire something that you attempt to one day acquire? I say, yet we approach that we will almost certainly never get there, and that at best true wisdom is something we can only approach. Despite a lifetime of work, it exceeds our grasp each time, slipping with each step further into the distance like the horizon that can never be reached. Anna said, don't you mean escapes? That cliche is about a person's reach exceeding their grasp, not the goal exceeding their grasp. No, I'm referencing this exact quote from Robert Browning. But man's reach should exceed his grasp. Or what is heaven for? So, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. But this is what copywriting is. Like, 1 time out of 10 they're correct. And then all the other times you're just like rolling your eyes at it. Music, all right, here it is. What a manuscript for the new book came. Well, this is the first past pages. This is 6 years in the making. The final book in series. Oh, puppy, do you want to see? You want to check it out? Yeah, it's not that fun. The secret to finishing big projects is to do them a little bit at a time. I have thousands of these tip-ins. That's first page in the new book. Wisdom takes work to sign. And how am I doing all of these tens of thousands of pages? A little bit at a time. That's what a lifetime dead bedtime is about, too. I'm waiting for my food in a restaurant. So, I'm signing a couple of these pages. See here, and then these get bound up, put in the book. I can't have given a talk about courage and a talk about discipline and a talk about justicing, then talk to these future commanders off nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers and fighter jets about the idea of wisdom and not address the fact that you are removing books from __ library a few yards from here. Music, I think this is the manuscript again. Oh, hiya. These are the second half pages off the back. These are like my knots in the margins. I'm going to record the audiobook off this tomorrow. Music, well, that is it. I've been at this audiobook for almost a month. I did it in smaller chunks this time so I could keep the energy up and my interest up. I finally did it. This is, I think, the first audiobook that I've recorded here in my studio next to the painted porch. And wisdom takes. Work is now in the can. It will go to editing, and then it will be out on October 21st as I'm doing the audiobook. I am still making changes at this very late phase, which I'm sure my publishers is going to be pleased about. Wisdom, the final virtue, what the final book in this series is about is an elusive virtue. All right, it is finale here. 6 years I have been working on this series, actually. Since Say was on a hike in Bastrop State Park and I had the idea, and then I did courage and discipline and justice. And now for the first time I'm holding in my hands wisdom. This is the 4th and final book in the Stoic Virtue series, and this is literally the first time I have gotten to hold it, and I'm very excited. I just got back from a very wet Verstrami pre-dawn run for a very full day off press for the book. I did 6.2 miles. My phone was going off in the middle of it. There's like a pre-evacuation alert for mudslides and flooding. You know, it was very wet, but also enormous palm fronds were falling all around me as I was running. So, was this wise? No. It was not wise. It was the opposite of wisdom. But before a very full day off rest, you got to do whatever it took to get regulated. So, that's what I was doing. A little bit of crazy is a good thing. All of this is a little bit crazy. So, we got to balance it out. My next guest, my dear friend Rihanna Ladady, argues that one way to deal with these changes is to cultivate wisdom. In his new book, Wisdom Takes Work. Wisdom Takes Work. Wisdom takes work. Wisdom takes work. I'm heading to the daily show now. It is 5:09 p.m. It should be fun. I did the Daily Show once, maybe 3 years ago. Hopefully, it goes well. Welcome back to another show. My guest tonight is the creator of Daily Stoic, and a best-selling author's latest book is called Wisdom Takes Work. Learn, apply, repeat. Please welcome Ryan Holiday. I think it's hard to subtract justice from any of the other virtues. And at the same time, wisdom is the most essential in that it tells us what is or isn't just, how to bring that juicy change to the world, what to be courageous about, what is the moderate, the temperate, or the disciplined amount of something, what's too much, what's too little. The new book, Wisdom Takes Work, is now out wherever you buy books. This is the fourth and final book in the Stoic Virtue series. If you want me to host in it, you can head over to dailystoicdose.com with Wisdom to grab.